You can spend 8,000 hours sweating pipes, digging trenches, and wrestling water heaters into attics. But all that field experience doesn't guarantee you'll pass the Texas Journeyman Plumbing exam. Out in the field, you solve problems using intuition and whatever materials get the job done. The exam evaluates you in a staged, highly restricted environment, where the textbook answer is the only acceptable answer. The state has recently modernized this process. The Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners moved the written portion to computer-based testing through Pearson VUE and opened new regional centers, pushing pass rates up to over 72%. How you navigate this testing process depends entirely on the current license you hold. If you already have your tradesman license, you've proven your practical skills. You skip the physical shop work and go straight to the 90-question computer-based test. But if you're registered as an apprentice, you have to face the full gauntlet, the written test plus the hands-on practical exam. To walk away with that journeyman card, you have to temporarily turn off your job site shortcuts and execute exactly what the examiners and the codebook demand. Before you even pick up a tool, you have to clear an administrative bottleneck that disqualifies a lot of applicants before test day. You have to complete a 48-hour classroom training program, submit an employer certification form accurately proving your hours, and pay a $40 application fee. Fingerprinting is another mandatory requirement. You must use Ident2Go, pay the $39.05 fee, and enter the exact service code 11J66C. If you request a physical hard card or accidentally send your prints to another state agency, the board will reject your application and you will not get a refund. Clearing this paperwork correctly is the only way to get the authorization to test email required to book your exam at a Pearson VUE center. Once you sit down at the testing center, you face 90 multiple-choice questions. The test is entirely closed book. This is where field slang will hurt you. The exam relies on precise plumbing terminology, so you have to know the official textbook definitions. This chart maps out where to spend your study hours. Rote memorization of the definitions chapter and the board law requires low effort but yields a massive return on your final grade. You also need to lock down the exact code requirements for cross-connection contamination prevention and fixture unit ratings. Completing the paperwork correctly secures your seat, while mastering the rote vocabulary provides the highest point yield for the least amount of study time. For apprentices, the computer test is followed by the practical exam. This evaluates manual skills that you might not use every day on modern job sites. You'll be asked to demonstrate clean joints by soldering copper, gluing PVC, and snapping compression band cast iron. But the joining isn't what trips most people up. The real obstacle in the shop is the rolling offset. The examiners aren't just checking to see if the pipe fits. They require you to physically write down the exact mathematical formula you use to find your measurement. Start by using the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the baseline travel distance. Next, to account for the 45-degree fittings, multiply that result by 1.414. Finally, subtract the specific measurement takeoffs provided by the examiners to get your final cut length. Take your time here. Rushing the physical work usually leads to unforced errors in this rigid math. The shop evaluation checks your ability to follow strict textbook formulas instead of relying on eyeball measurements and modern shortcuts. Once you clear the offset, you face the 2-story dollhouse module, where you must design a sanitary drainage and vent system for 10 miniature fixtures. The easiest way to fail is by overcomplicating the design. Don't try to tie vents together to save pipe. Just run a dedicated vent out for every single fixture. The final physical module is the staged water heaters. You will walk down a row of numbered water heaters that the examiners have intentionally installed incorrectly. You're looking for missing cold water shutoff valves, improper venting, or setups contradicting the manufacturer's warning labels. Passing these final practical stages requires you to adopt the mindset of an inspector searching for staged traps, rather than a builder working from scratch. Earning your journeyman license in Texas is an exercise in strict administrative compliance and following instructions exactly as written. If you are upgrading from a tradesman license, you have the advantage of skipping the practical. Spend all your study time drilling the code for fixture units and cross-connection prevention. If you are an apprentice fighting the clock, max out your study return by focusing purely on code definitions and keep your dollhouse venting as simple as possible. For both paths, keep physical copies of all your payment receipts and read every manufacturer label on the water heaters carefully. By respecting the rigid nature of the testing environment and navigating the paperwork with precision, you can convert your 8,000 hours of sweat into a journeyman license.